Welcome to this next module of Building Effective Online Courses. My name is Rick Lemadou, and we will be discussing building a course skeleton and how to develop that and work with that as you continue to learn principles for building effective online courses. In this module, we'll focus on creating the skeleton, the topics that you're going to do in your course, laying that calendar out that we talked about in the last lecture. Just kind of touched on it here, bottom of the syllabus, as I've shown you here on the screen. So you see I've just kind of laid this out, left the date blank here. You may fill that in if you know that information, or leave that blank. Then a column for the modules, the 7 modules. So once again, develop the 7 module course, and then have your topics over here to the right of that, and then you can list out your different module topics. Now, where do you come up with the module topics, and how do you know what you're going to cover on your particular subject? Well, it depends on your experience, of course, and the amount of expertise you have in a certain area that you may want to venture off on your own. You may have some text of your own that you want to use, some other materials that you can create on your own, or you may want to do a little bit of a hybrid and use some textbooks or some articles out there and integrate all that in there to flesh out the topics that you want to cover for your weekly or module subjects that you're going to go over for each topic in the module. For example, here, module 1 is a review of the syllabus, introduction and overview, the setting, the scene, the 4 domains of evaluative practice in higher education. Then we go into module 2, the factors that influence how we teach. And in bold there, to create the skeleton of your course, is the assignment for the module 2 in bold. Same for module 3, teaching in a changing society. That's the topic of discussion that week, and the reading will be centered around that. The discussion in bold there, you see create learning outcomes. That is the assignment for that week. Then into module 4, nature of assessment, and you see the rest going through. Now, I want to show you a technique that I've learned and used. You may want to consider it as well. I know we're not going to talk about the subject of e-textbooks, creating one or using materials from an e-textbook, but it may be something you want to consider. It's not as hard as it may appear, especially with book publishers seeing the need and the value and really the demand by students to have e-textbook. I'm going to show you a little bit about that, and then show you from this course outline how I pick the different topics, and that may assist you as well. Here are the different chapters in the textbook that you're reading for this semester in this course, and you see here factors that influence how we teach happens to be module 2, factors that influence how we teach. And so you see that teaching in a changing society, the nature of assessment, social foundations of assessment, all these are your topics in your course for that week. The reading can enhance and build your course as well, so we kind of round out the whole learning experience for your students. So now as you look at the information on this course syllabus back in our course management system here, you'll see that the materials information is all here. You have our course description, the learning outcomes, which we'll talk about in the next module lecture. So we'll save that. Then you have your assignment table, and from your assignment table you see your journal entries, module discussions, bibliography, a group project, a research paper. You see all those, and then your point totals and your percentages. And then of course all the different course requirements and the assignments. Now, based off of your weekly assignments, whether it's reading in a textbook like we have here with the e-textbook, the student will do their reflection on these different chapters, as those of you who have been in the courses so far have done. Then you'll want to develop rubrics to assess the learning from the assignments that the students are getting. So you want to be able to measure how your students are doing in their chosen assignments as you build this course. And the same would go with the discussion participation. So if you delve into that a little bit deeper with the reading, maybe choose a question or two from the reading and include that as a part of your discussion for that week. Same thing with how you're going to handle the discussions and interaction with your students. Are you going to require them to make a first post at a certain time and then have their follow-up posts after that. Same with discussion participation and seeing, how you're going to measure that. You're going to look at different factors or just a completed or not completed. These are all things you want to consider as you lay out your course, the topics, that skeleton. This will just kind of, once again, develop as you're going through, determining what your topics are going to be, then how you want to do assignments to help you measure the students' learning, and then the assessments come on top of that to assess how are you going to assess the group project, how are you going to discuss discussion participation, the journal, things like individual projects like we had with a journal abstract or a research paper, and then peer evaluation. How does that fit into the course outcomes? That's what I want you to work on. This module is lay out how you want to have your course look in your course calendar. So that overview, what will be the topics for each module. And so, for example, if we were to click on module 1, we would see what's module 1 going to be. In this module, you'll gain an overview of the generations that will be studied in our course, module objectives, module activities, the different activities that your students will be involved with, and the due dates and things like that that you can lay out. And then over here, of course, you see, because you're in the course and have taken these before, you see that how these things are mapped out here on the left pane for students to go to the reading, the lecture material that they would view for that week, discussion, journal entry, and then the module wrap up as a conclusion to see how the learning worked out for that week. Hopefully that gives you a good overview of what I'm looking for. So for this assignment for module 2, get your weekly topics, your 7 module topics that you're going to cover. Now, like I said, you can use a textbook, you can use things that you've done from experience and lay that out in a systematic way depending on the topic that you're going to cover. Think that through. And I'll have some more examples of what I'm talking about when I say the topics for the week. And I will put some more of those examples in to give you an idea of what you can put together and place in your topics depending on the subject matter that you cover. So obviously you want that to match up with the topic that you're working with. I think that as you work through that, it'll kind of come together for you, but please don't hesitate to ask if you have any questions. In the next lecture, we will look at how to assess and measure the learning outcomes and how to build those. All right, I look forward to seeing you in the next lecture. Thank you.